Andrew Hillier joins us now from our International Affairs desk. Andy, let's start with the investigation itself. I mean, what more do we know about the suspect? Also, of course, about his possible motives.
Yeah, well, investigators still trying to figure out exactly what his motives were of the suspect. So 31-year-old man, Cole Thomas Allen, as you heard in that report there, set to be charged later today in a federal court in Washington, D.C., charged with assaulting a federal officer, using a dangerous weapon and using a firearm during a crime of violence. So law enforcement officials are executing various search warrants. They're speaking to witnesses, people who were close to the suspect, family members like his sister, who have said that he bought 3 firearms before the shooting happened, and he had a tendency, she said, to make radical statements. Now, leading up to the shooting, it's believed he took a train from California to Chicago, then to Washington, stayed a night in the Hilton hotel where the shooting took place on Friday, where the dinner was also taking place. Now, also circulating in the media, a so-called manifesto that the suspect reportedly sent to his family before the shooting, and in which he wrote that administration officials were his targets, from prioritized from highest to lowest. He said he could no longer allow a traitor to coat my hands with his crimes. And interestingly, he also mocks what he called an insane, I quote, lack of security at the hotel, even claiming that no one seemed to care in the hotel that he had a weapon. So while an exact motive has yet to be established, investigators still working on that, this does paint a picture of a suspect clearly deeply angered by the US administration and by Donald Trump as well.
Yeah, a lot to follow up there, of course.
Yes.
It's not the first time, is it, that Donald Trump's security's come under scrutiny? I mean, how could a gunman come this close to the president?
Well, that is the question that a lot of people are asking. So let me just show you first a floor plan of the Washington Hilton where this shooting took place. There, you can see on your screen there, this is courtesy of the New York Times. So you can see up on the upper level concourse there, that's where the suspect ran towards the security checkpoint. Then he was apprehended. That's the photo which we've seen, in which he was pinned to the floor. And then downstairs on a lower level, that's the International Ballroom. That is where top administration officials were sitting on a raised platform, including Donald Trump. And then, of course, you had the people who had been invited to that gala sitting in the ballroom as well. So the gunman sprinting through that security checkpoint. This is the same hotel, incidentally, where Ronald Reagan was injured in an assassination attempt in 1981. He was leaving the hotel, and that incident took place on the sidewalk. Now, the suspect, as you saw in that so-called manifesto, believed that agents were poorly prepared to guard top administration officials. So naturally, of course, this has got people asking certainly about the level of screening at this hotel, whether or not it was adequate to protect high-profile figures, why the hotel continued operating as a hotel despite, again, hosting some of the world's most powerful people in such a small, confined space. There have also, Stuart, been quotes from reporters who have said that security at the venue wasn't particularly heavy. Some even saying that identification wasn't checked for people who were staying at the hotel. Donald Trump himself posted on Sunday morning that the shooting, he said, would never have happened at the new White House ballroom he's constructing. So clearly there, Donald Trump not missing an opportunity to use an event to criticize a lawsuit that's going on to try and block the construction of his ballroom. Officials, it has to be said, however, also countering that security measures, they say, worked exactly as they should have done, pointing to the fact that the suspect never reached the ballroom.
Let's wind it out even more. I mean, other questions, Andy, about what the shooting reveals about political violence and, of course, about the state of US politics as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, as many people have pointed out, this is the third assassination attempt on Donald Trump in 2 years. The most notable, of course, being that attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania, with that very famous photo. There was also that attempt at one of Donald Trump's Florida golf courses. Now, the US, of course, bears a long history of political violence, but you have to chart these incidents against a backdrop of rising violence. To give you an example of that, US Capitol Police in 2023 investigated more than 8,000 threats to members of Congress. That is a 50% rise compared to 2018. Of course, there have been notable killings. Last year's killing of Charlie Kirk, which exposed the US's deep political decisions. There was the killing of the Democratic Minnesota state legislator Melissa Hortman and her husband, shot and killed. So violence and the threat of violence really has become a part of the US political landscape. And what this does is it can distort how politicians behave and how they vote. Some elected officials have even been quoted in the past as saying that they avoided voting for the impeachment of Donald Trump out of the fear, because they feared for the safety of themselves and their families. Now, beyond the threat of violence to it, there is also the fear that this incident could be instrumentalized. Now, Donald Trump has always been very savvy about communication around these assassination attempts, and we're already starting to see elements of this, elements of Donald Trump integrating this event into his public image, the way he presents himself.